Evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's live event from the Business of Aesthetics community, where we are dedicated to helping aesthetic practices thrive because your success matters. And tonight's discussion, from consultation to conversion, mastering the aesthetic sales journey, dives into the hidden operational gaps that cost you patience, erode trust, and stall your growth. I'm your host, Don Adisha, and alongside our incredible panelists here, we'll uncover actionable strategies to build trust, design pressure-free consultations, and create a highly profitable patient experience. Now, just a quick housekeeping notes to help you get the most of this hour. First, yes, we are recording, so you will receive a replay link after the event so you can rewatch and share with your partners. However, don't let that make you passive. The real value is happening right now, live. To make the best use of your time, engage with us. Use the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen for specific questions you want me to ask the panelists, and use the chat to share your thoughts with your colleagues here. Now, I have my eye on both the feeds. I will do my best to weave your questions into our conversation as we go along, or we will tackle them during the Q&A session closer to the end of the hour. Now, with that being said, I would also like to give a massive thank you to our platinum sponsor and growth partner, Echo Marketing, founded by Naren Araraja, the very same founder of the Business of Aesthetics. And for nearly 20 years, Echo has helped aesthetic practice owners across the globe stop being the best kept secret in their own town. They believe that great care deserves great visibility. And now, think, yeah. And now here's something every practice owner should be thinking about: the way patients find you online. And it's changing fast as well. So search engines and AI tools like ChatGPT, Google's AI overviews, Gemini, or voice assistants now give quick answers right on page. This means that people may not be clicking through all the way as they used to. Traditional search is still important, it is just evolving. So the question now becomes, how do you stay the practice that patients trust and choose? The answer is simple: build enough authority so search and AI see your practice as helpful as a reliable source. That means clear, expert-driven content, accurate profiles, consistent naming, address, and phone details, along with strong reviews. So, with that being said, in this world, it's not about being found, it is about being easy to understand and choose. Now, why do I mention this? Well, our partners at Equa Marketing have something really interesting for y'all, a great resource that'll help you understand where you are at with your current digital marketing presence and how you can take it to the next level and ensure growth in 2026. So stick around, we'll share that as we go along. With that being said, um, before we jump into the event, I would like to take a moment to look at what we're going to be discussing here tonight. So we're going to start unpacking by the art of consultation, showing you how to leverage storytelling and emotional intelligence to elevate your sales process. But we won't ignore the science. We'll also tackle how to use data and metrics to refine your approach and how to build effective follow-up systems and digital touchpoints so that no inquiry fails through the cracks. And finally, we'll bring it all together by discussing how to perfectly align your clinical and front desk teams. We want to ensure your patient experience is consistent, premium from the moment that they walk in to the moment they check out. So, by the end of the hour, you'll have a complete blueprint to master the aesthetic sales journey. Now, let's meet the expert panelist who will be guiding us through this conversation. So, our speaker here knows what it's like to watch potential revenue slip through the cracks of a disjointed patient journey. And more importantly, exactly how to stop it. With over 2 decades in the beauty and aesthetics industry, she has mastered the operational systems that turn casual inquiries into lifelong, loyal patients. Today, as a senior leader in practice success at Moxie, she turns she partners with med spa owners to scale their revenue through clinically led growth and rock solid business operations. She's here to help you reclaim your time, streamline your handoffs, and optimize your bottom line. Welcome, Michaela Rice.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
So with that being said, let's dive into the main Q&A section. And as I mentioned, do engage with us as we go along to make the best value for your time invested. So my first question to you, Michaela, is which consultation breakdown recently cost a practice trust or momentum? And what did that example expose about the patient expectations?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like what I really commonly see is this breakdown when a consultation becomes too transactional, right? You're answering the patient's one question instead of giving them a full outcome, or someone is coming into you for one thing, and you're really not diving into the cause and the home care, and giving really a comprehensive treatment plan. I think it's really easy to lose the
Mhm.
momentum when a patient feels sold to. No one wants to feel that, right? They want to feel that they're having a genuine relationship and a genuine conversation with someone that has their best interest at heart, and that person really wants to just feel understood. I think patients really want and expect leadership from you as a clinician. They want someone to translate their concern into a very clear and confident plan, not just the units and not just the price. So I feel like when that doesn't happen, it really quickly can erode trust and change the whole dynamic of what that patient's journey could have been.
Let's take a look at a real example, right? Say Michelle walks into your clinic and then she says, I want to get some. Would she come about saying, I want to get some Botox done, get some fillers? Or, and how would you frame that conversation? Where would you take it? What if that's not the best? Yeah, where would you take it from there,
Yeah.
really?
I think problem number one is don't let Michelle dictate the conversation, right? Like, don't let her come in and say, here's what I want. You need to be the leader in the room. You need to be the one that says, here's how this conversation is going to go. Number one, I'm going to introduce myself and I'm going to tell you all about my experience and what I've learned in this industry. I'm going to credential myself first. Then I'm going to give you a realistic expectation. So, first, I'm going to talk through your home care. What have you done before? Then I want to dive into what I recommend, and then we'll save some time at the end for any questions you have. So if you're not setting the expectation in the very beginning and giving them the space to ask their questions at the end, then they're owning the conversation, right? And I think that's really the most common pitfall is people are like, tell me what brings you in today. And like, that's wonderful. But then they're owning everything and you lose the ownership of that conversation. So I really think that you need to take ownership of what happens in your room, introduce yourself and credential yourself, have a really strong one liner of I've been in the industry for this many years, or I've been a clinician for this many years, whatever that looks like for you. And then set the expectation of I'm going to go into these things, I'm going to talk through these things with you, and I'm going to give you my full treatment plan, and then you ask me whatever you want at the end. So I think I see a lot of people really avoid those pieces, and that's exactly where they get stuck in what you just mentioned, is that Michelle is dictating the conversation and saying, here's what I want, and I want 50 units, and you're going to put 10 here and 20 here, and and then you're stuck, and there's no opportunity to change anyone's mind because you didn't lead it.
Okay, that's very interesting because I would think, isn't Michelle, wouldn't Michelle feel that she's unheard? She comes in with her plan, and you're now telling me that that's not probably the best way to go about things.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could go either way, but I think no matter what, I think you still need to own it and you need to be the person that is the expert in the room, right? Michelle's not an injector. So whether she knows she's been getting Botox for 20 years, I think you're still doing a disservice to anyone by only talking about the 50 units that she's asking for, right? You're not talking about preventative or filler or at home care or anything like that. Or what's her treatment plan? Is she going to come back in 3 months or 4 months? You're really letting her dictate that. So I think that there are definitely certain clients that may not be the right fit for them. But I don't know. I mean, a hot take is I really want the people that are open to expert judgment and expert opinions. And honestly, like maybe if the person who comes in and tells you exactly what their treatment plan is, like maybe that's not the best client or patient for you in your business. So it might be a hot take, but I think it could go either way. I think no matter what, you definitely need to walk that fine line and that balance of making sure someone is feeling understood and feeling heard, but you still are able to go back to that comprehensive treatment plan and talk through everything that you need to and still run your approach the same way that you would with anybody else.
Got it. And now, if one of the practice owners listening in wants to audit their own process tomorrow, where's the first place that they should be looking for potential breakdowns such as these?
Yeah, I think definitely a lot of people don't have a process. So if you do have a process, then congratulations, you're doing something right. If you're trying to systematize it, then wonderful. But what I really find most common is that people don't, and they go in and they say like, "What brings you in today?" And they let someone steer the conversation. So I think to your question though of like what do I see that people really need to audit is how well are you listening? And I think you also need to audit every single piece of it. Like I talk about credentialing yourself. Most people don't do that. They say, "Hello, my name is Michaela. We're in room number 3 today." And then they just jump right in. They don't say anything about them that is really building value and building trust off the gate. So there's that. I think also, are you mirroring body language? Are you sitting down? Are you getting eye level with someone? I really will pick apart every single detail. And there's so many people that think that they have a system by saying like read off this paper and here's your treatment plan that you're going to read through, and that is a really great place to start, but it's not enough to really systematize a process fully so that whether it's you or your medical assistant or I mean honestly even a front desk associate, anyone should be able to replicate it if it's a really really strong process. And I think that's the ultimate test is could you give this to your high school senior who lives down the street and say like run a consultation. Did I give you a playbook that's good enough that you could do this with anybody? Because if not, then there's some breaks in the process.
Got it. Check the process and standardized an SOP basically.
Yeah, I love operations. I love having everything standardized, and that it's not to say that there's wiggle room in between, but I really think once you have that strong, like that's what's actually scalable is that if you have it as an SOP that's really readable for anyone to be able to
A
execute.
great foundation to build on, and then just adding your own flair as we move
Yeah,
along.
right.
Absolutely. Now, Michaela, when growth pressure rises, how do leaders choose between consultation speed and the time required to build patient confidence?
Yeah, speed and confidence are two different things. But one of my favorite quotes and phrases, and I live by this, is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So you can be slow and fast in certain ways, right? But speed without confidence is expensive. Your customer acquisition costs can be really high depending on your channels. So if you're rushing and you're too focused on speed or like, I only have 15 minutes for this consultation, you might win the quick conversion, right? You might get a couple tox treatments or some filler here and there, but more often than not, you're going to lose retention and that long-term value. So what I find is the best operators, they really design them that are efficient but not
Mhm.
rushed, right? You can be efficient and you can be speedy but not be rushed. You still have structured, repeatable and very outcome focused treatment plans and consultations. So it's really not about the time or being longer. It's really just about the quality of that conversation. Because if your patient's not feeling clear and confident in the recommendation that you gave them, then you really haven't actually saved any time. You're increasing your costs, your customer acquisition costs, and then you're increasing the likelihood of a lost client.
And how do you increase this confidence per se, the quality as well as the quality of the conversation?
Yeah, I think again, like I'll say, I'll say probably a million times tonight, but having a systematized approach, like if
Mhm.
I were to walk into a room and I had never done an elevator pitch and I'm supposed to just find a way to credential myself in the next 30 seconds, I would fumble. It would take me a long time. It would probably not be a considered elevator pitch because I'm trying to figure it out as I go. But if I write it down, if I practice it, if I've done it 3 or 4 times, then you're smooth and you are still fast and you can still build that trust, but you're not taking a very, very long time to do it. And you're also not rushing through it. So I feel like there's a very sweet spot where practicing and having those like role playing conversations with your team, it's really, really important. Go through all of the different scenarios, because practice truly makes perfect. So go through it all.
Got it. And now I would like to pick a question from one of our registration. Um, I think, yeah. Okay. So Karen asks, how is it best to present a treatment plan? And if they don't book right away, when, how, and exactly who should be doing the follow-up?
I love when the follow up comes from the actual person that they talk to. There is nothing more impactful. And we can pretend, right? Like your front desk person that's named Jessica can say, like, hey, this is Erica, and we talked earlier. I'm really curious. I think it should be quick. I think it should
Mhm.
be within 24 to 48 hours if someone has not booked. If your system is not telling you those stats, definitely find a system that does, or find some way to create that system for yourself. But I do think that you should really follow up with people. Just a very quick phone call. Hey, we talked earlier. Just wanted to see if you have any questions. Could have been a lot. I want to make sure you understand it all. Just something personal. That personal touch is really lost. We live in a day of a ton of automations, a ton of AI. People really are losing touch with humans. And I think when you can bring that layer back to your practice, it can be time consuming. But at the end of the day, is that 2 minute call worth it if they turn it into a long term client that has a really long lifetime value? Like, yeah, absolutely. You should definitely do that. So I guess to answer your question, I would call within 24 to 48 hours. And I do feel like it should be with the person that they spoke with. Just a voicemail is so simple and so impactful for patients.
And this personal touch, what are you talking about over here? How exactly?
Yeah, I would go through their treatment plan. So if I did a consultation, I always go through not just what clinically we're recommending, but I go through, it's called FORD, FORD. So I go through their family, their occupation, what they do recreationally, and then what their dreams or desires are. And I write that down. So that goes into any SOAP notes. So if I'm calling someone and say like, hey, I know we talked earlier, you have a big event coming up in a couple weeks. I want to make sure you have the right timeline. Like layering in those little personal pieces, I think is really important. And just honestly, very simple. You don't have to go in depth. You can just say, hey, I wanted to see if you have any questions. Just that general genuine interest and seeking to understand if they actually do have questions, like that genuineness will come off over the phone. So I don't think it really has to be anything that's too overthought or too in depth. Just like, hey, check it in, like a friend. And I think that just builds trust.
Michaela, I was just wondering, is this also plugged into your SOPs, to ask them about this board?
Yeah.
And
So I do put it every person, well, I'm not a clinician, so let me start there. But what I do recommend is that for all of your charting notes, starting with a template. And if it's a consultation template, one of the things that you should have on it is Ford, because you want to ask about everyone's personal life. It's so impactful for so many people. I can't tell you, I probably have this at the dentist where, you're getting your teeth cleaned and you're like, oh yeah, my family's great, and you're you're trying to do that. But it really means so much to people for someone to remember what you talked to them about 3 or 6 months ago. So I do think it's very important. It should be part of your charting templates. I highly recommend adding it in if it's not something that you're already touching on, because so many people go straight into clinical mode, right? Like, and I get it, nurses, doctors, it is so easy to fall into that space. But remember that bedside manner that everyone learns, or maybe not, but like bring that bedside manner back, and bring, I guess process, we want to systematize everything, but adding that into your systems is really, really so important. So I recommend it as part of your charting notes always.
okay, I really would love for a demonstration here, if you don't mind. I know this is because when it comes to the newer generation, there have been issues with this bedside manners, right? Really breaking the social barrier there. So, how would you actually go about asking a person about their family or occupation and make it
Yeah.
seem
Yeah, it can be challenging sometimes when it's, weird and new. And again, so let's say you have 30 minutes. So we'll definitely dive. So again, we'll start with the setting expectations. So I'm going to credential myself. I'm going to walk you through what we're going to do. We're going to say I will spend time answering your questions at the end. So those three are always mandatory.
Mhm.
Then we're going to go into, what are your major concerns, right? And I do find a way to sneak it in, like, oh, do you have kids at home? Or, what's your home life look like? Because you're going to talk about their skincare routine. Oh, does your husband steal your products, or your wife, or your girlfriend? So I do find kind of sneaky ways to sneak it into the conversation. But if those four letters are in the back of your head, I think everyone would be very surprised at how naturally it can come up. And maybe we don't hit them all. Um, Occupation is really easy. Do you work from home? Are you in the sun a lot, right? We're going to talk through skincare. Um, the recreation again, what do you do for fun? Are you outside in the sun a lot of times? Are you a sunbather? Do you like to go to the pool, or do you go hiking on the weekends? People want to talk about themselves. So if you give them the space and sometimes a little leading question here and there, they will open up. And then that last, the D is either dreams or desires. And that really does go back to their clinical. Is there a certain celebrity that you really love their skin, or their lips, or their cheekbones, or anything like that? But also, maybe what personal aspirations do you have? Are you trying to sell your business? Like, it can give you so much insight into how much stress this person has in their daily life, what they're looking for in their daily life, and then how they think about the world, which really for injectors, it is an art. It is very, very artful process to be able to do things like this. And I think just going back to that as well, having all of those little questions and pieces in your mind, they will really uncover a lot, and they will let you get deeper relationships with your patients and your clients, and get them to come back long term. So I say, like, sprinkle them in, but once they're in the back of your mind, they are much easier to sneak into a conversation than I think anyone thinks. So I challenge everyone listening to give it a try one day.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for the breakdown, Michaela. I know that's going to be an incredible nugget for our listeners, and yeah, even I took a lot of notes there. So now, across the patient journey, what should be standardized and what should remain flexible to preserve that trust and consistency?
Yeah, this is kind of a hot take, and I'm sorry, but I don't think that keeping things flexible does preserve trust or
Oh,
consistency. I truly believe that in order to scale an aesthetics business, you need to standardize your entire framework. How to introduce yourself and credential yourself. Every single provider in your practice should be able to say, I've been in it for this many years. I love to do this. What I do at home or in my off time, you need to standardize that across your team. You need to standardize how you sit. You need butts and chairs. You need to get at eye level with people. You need to mirror their body language. You need to teach people how to do that. But you need to standardize your consultation flow. It's not just questions on a paper. We mentioned the Ford earlier, but that needs to be in your consultation flow. You also need to standardize your follow-up cadence, calling people in 24 to 48 hours. What do you say when you call people in 24 to 48 hours? The rebooking expectations for the team. What does that handoff look like? If a provider just did a consultation and they're going to the front desk, like, what is the standardized process for this? I think just overall, you need to really standardize every single piece. And I just really don't think flexibility preserves anything. I think it gives you way too many pieces that can be manipulated or misused. And you really, like, I love standardizing things, but mostly because that is what I truly believe helps practices scale. So I think that consistency is what does it. I think patients also want a really consistent experience. If I came in for a consultation 6 months ago and I saw injector A, maybe we didn't hit it off. But if I came back and saw injector B, she credentialed herself. She asked me the same questions. She learned the same things about me. We had a better conversation. Maybe I rebook with that person because that makes someone personally feel seen because it's not personal that you didn't get along with this person. It has to be a personality match. But many providers just aren't taught how to make people feel seen and heard. And I think every consultation will naturally be different. But if you systematize it, that is exactly how you can really scale your business.
And the next question here is, how do you get the buy-in from perhaps seasoned providers who resist a bit of standardization because they want to do it their way?
Yeah, I mean, again, I like to seek to understand. I think everyone is coachable, but if I was a manager or a practice owner and I saw that I was meeting someone with resistance, I would love to know why. Maybe they have a beautiful secret sauce that I want to steal and standardize. Like that's okay. But I think every single business runs best on processes. So if you do have someone on your team that is very resistant to that, that maybe is a signal that they can't scale with you. So I
Mm.
always, as a manager, as an owner, lead with love, lead with empathy, and seek to understand where everyone is coming from. Maybe they had a really negative past work experience that brought them there. Maybe they had a negative consultation that they did one time that made them change their ways. But you need to get to know your staff, right? And you need to understand what makes them tick. And I truly believe that everyone will come around eventually if they are right for your team. But if you're not trying to understand your team members and why they're resistant, then that's really the problem. So if I ever do meet someone that's resistant, I intentionally will spend a lot more time with them and I will shadow them and I will watch them just to see what they're doing. Because again, like maybe they know better. And it's always great to have people in the room that know more than you do, right? That's how so many leaders get to where they're at is you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. So there is something to learn, but if you're not actually taking the time to seek to understand and work with your employees and get them to either see your side or maybe see their side a little differently, then that will also stall your growth.
And what if they can't scale with you? How are we progressing with that staff member?
Yeah. I mean, if they can't scale with you, I'm very much hire fast, fire faster, and promote the fastest. I live by that. I love it. If it's not a hell yes, then it's a hell no. So I think that there are great people in this industry, and some people want to be stuck in their ways, but that won't be a practice that I will have them working in. And I think it's okay to say that. And I think a lot of people are scared to lose employees. I know employee acquisition cost is also very expensive and time consuming and training, but you really need people on your team that want to scale with you and want to grow with you. So I think it's really okay to call it what it is and respectfully say, like, maybe this isn't working out because I want to grow my business. And if you're not helping that, then you're really hurting it. So why would anybody want to stick with that, you know?
Got it. Now, Michaela, you have touched on creating a journey and standardizing trust. But the truth is, you can have the best consultation process in the world, and it won't matter if your ideal patients can't find you to begin with. So we know from recent data that patients are researching heavily before they ever call. And this brings us back to our sponsor, Echo Marketing. If you're struggling with visibility, they are offering a gift for our attendees today, a complimentary marketing strategy meeting valued at $900. Let me share that quickly with y'all. Right. There we go. Right. So, in your strategy session, you'll sit down with a senior marketing analyst who already works with thriving aesthetic practices across North America. You'll get a live audit. of how you can attract more clients, build your reputation, and grow sustainably. The marketing analyst will actually spend several hours researching your online presence, your competition, your local SEO, and nowadays, perhaps even your AEO, and everything. So they'll come to the call ready to walk you through custom recommendations just for your practice. This session is designed to help you answer those questions and fix anything that's not quite working. It's usually a $900 session, as I mentioned, completely complimentary for you tonight. You'll see a QR code on your screen. You can scan that with your phone to book your session or check the chat for a direct link. It'll take less than a minute to book. Now, availability is limited since, as I mentioned, every audit involves real research into your local market. So perhaps here's how to think about offers like this. What's the risk if you say yes? Honestly, it'll just be your time. There's no obligation whatsoever. But what's the risk if you don't? You might be missing out on something that could truly help you grow your practice in 2026 and beyond. So I'll leave that with you, but truly, I encourage you to grab this opportunity, book your session with Equa. It'll be time well spent. Right. Now, let's pick up another question from our registrants here. Tanya asks, how do you actually improve revenue on injectables without just raising the price of the product or service?
Yeah. So look at a ton of different numbers, right? So it's not just like the price of the service initially. I think you need to look at your AOV, your rebooking rate, your visits per year. Specifically, you really want to look at patients with more than 3 annual visits. Um, I feel like that can really tell you if your patients are believing in your plan, because oftentimes you'll know if they just said yes once. So if your rebooking is lower, inconsistent, it's really a signal, in my opinion, that your consultations and your treatments also aren't building a long-term confidence and a long-term relationship. So I would change course pretty quickly if you saw that your conversions are strong, but there's a weak return behavior. A lot of people just focus initially on that conversion from the initial consultation over to their first treatment, but I want to make sure that those people are returning at least 3 times. So that really is just a short-term win that will help you long term. So I think that's really the best way to continue doubling down on things, is looking at so many different numbers. It's not just one number of like those prices, right? I think also how many solo follow-ups can really help. But I think that initial follow-up, a lot of times people will say like, come in for your pictures, but why would you ever have someone come in for just photos, right? They should get that microneedling or that chemical peel in a few weeks. So increasing your revenue is really on how you deliver that comprehensive treatment plan, not at all what you charge. You should not need to raise your Botox prices, right? Like, you need to focus on your consultation quality, your full face treatment planning, sequencing treatments over time instead of single area visits, and then also train your team, your entire team, to confidently recommend comprehensive outcomes. If someone calls and they ask, how much is your Botox? Do not stop there, right? Like, what is Botox for? Why is someone getting Botox? Have you thought about other things? Because then you're just responding to requests. And then you also, it's really, really important to layer in retention tools. So your memberships, your rebooking systems, your win back campaigns, your follow-up protocols, your entire system holistically really should be built to get patients to come back consistently and just not sporadically.
Amazing. Now, when it comes to that treatment planning, how would you go about doing that? Is it based off of basically avatars or outcomes, or else is it more on the line of what you have readily available within your own practice?
Definitely what's readily available. If you have technology, like if you have the AI facial tools or any of those amazing facial scanners, like those are incredible. Those are absolutely wonderful tools. A lot of people truthfully don't have them. They're expensive, and I think you can absolutely get what you need out of just a good wholehearted conversation. So again, what we talked about earlier, like how are you going to do it? You're going to go through everything. What are they doing at home? What have they done before? What are their major concerns? A lot of people will say fine lines and wrinkles, right? But we know that we can prevent, but then we can also treat. So you need to talk about so many different things. Their home care, what are they using to wash their face? Like those very, very simple pieces. So I think there's just so many different things that people can layer into their consultation process. But I think as long as you're touching on those major points of what have they done before, what are they doing at home, what are their major concerns, and then just take a pause there because so many clinicians are like, oh, fine lines and wrinkles, that means Botox. But it doesn't always for everybody. And sure, maybe it does a little bit, but it should not start and end there. We need to do microneedling or maybe peels, and we need to like reverse a little bit in the aging process. So I think just again, systematizing those pieces of the consultation and making sure that you're hitting all of those additional points so that you can really get a full treatment plan. I love doing annual as well. What I find a lot of times also is that people will have a patient who came in 2 or 3 years ago. And every time
Yeah.
they come in for talks, we're doing the same thing, right? No, you need to do a whole new process for them. Maybe not every single time, but you need to do an annual consultation, right? You need to do an annual treatment plan. You need to say, okay, for the next upcoming 6 months, here's what we're doing. We did this the last year in the last 6 months, but here's what we're doing moving forward. Because again, then you're doing a disservice to people. So you're not just doing it that first time, but you also need to bake in these annual consultations and treatment plans to your system as well. And then try and do it. I mean, you can probably do it quarterly as well. If people are coming back and they're coming back just for one service, like everyone knows in their clientele who those people are that come in for the exact same units of talks every single time. Like think about those patients and those clients that you have, and what are you going to say to them next time? Are you going to just do the same thing on them that they've been asking for? Or are you going to try and get them to do the other things that you were talking about? So I really challenge everyone to go through that consultation process, not just with your regular clients, but also with your returning patients.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Michaela. Now, think of a handoff that failed between the coordinator and injector. What happened and what changed afterwards?
Yeah, like a handoff, as in I just did a consultation and then they're going to the front desk. Yeah, I think classic failure is misaligned expectations. I think the coordinator can promise one thing over the phone. Botox is $12 a unit or $10 a unit, whatever you're charging. And then the injector is going to walk in with a different plan of, oh, we're going to talk about filler today. We're going to talk about microneedling. So I think in general, that would cause a ton of patient confusion. They're going to lose confidence. I think what can really fix that is very simple, but also powerful structured handoff notes. Jessica called 4 days ago. She asked about this, like as many notes as possible from every single person. Providers are really good about their charting and their SOAP notes, but you also need to teach your front desk to do the same thing. Did you talk to them 2 weeks ago? Like, there's nothing more annoying than a provider being like, oh, she said that she called and you told her XYZ. Your front desk should be documenting that if they're booking an appointment. So I think that is very, very easy fix is having the front desk coordinators or receptionists, whatever you want to call them, giving really cleared notes and then also cleared treatment intent before the injector answers, right? So tighter training on how the coordinators are framing expectations and then tighter training on how your providers are running their consultations. So, I mean, again, I'm a broken record here, but systemize that too, because those clean handoffs will really protect trust. So I think notes, documentation, and then cross-functional training. Your front desk should know exactly what each provider is going to say in the treatment room and the the provider should also know what the front desk is telling people. They should go through those same training. And I think that cross functional training is really important for the team to make sure that those missteps don't happen. And then if they do, I think for a manager or owner or anyone who's seeing that, pause, team training, team
Okay.
huddle, right? Like address it in the moment. Don't let it go a week. Don't let it go a month. Don't wait until your next team meeting or your lunch or your dinner out to address something. Like stop it in the moment and say, like, what happened? What did we miss? Where did it crumble? Because that's really how you get better. It's not for the sake of calling anyone out. It's really for the sake of just making sure that we can all learn from every single experience. And if we see a fumble happen, let's deal with it and let's talk about it in the moment.
Got it. Now, another question from one of our registrants, and this time around, okay, this is a bit of a different one. Hyper competition. So, Brittany asks, how do you deal with the fierce competition, especially when another local clinic is actively copying you right down to your business name and logo?
Well, the question in general, honestly, it really makes me sad and it kind of breaks my heart because first and foremost, community over competition. There is enough money to go around. If you have a strong brand and can answer, if I were to ask you what makes you different than Sally Joe down the street, then you should not even be worried about this. No one can copy you. And I truly believe that energy, leading with love, the joy, what's right for you will come. I say this all the time, happy people encourage, attractive people compliment, and successful people support. So those who have nothing to offer, they will bring you down. You need to learn that and you need to deal with that, especially the bigger you get. Someone will always be trying to bring you down. But once you understand that, you stop taking things like that personally. It's a compliment. And it's really hard for a lot of people. I talk about this a lot, but a lot of people have that ego living within them, and that's totally fine. But you really need to feel secure with yourself. You do not need to feel threatened by other people because they shouldn't even be competing with you. They should not dim you, right? And the people who are here for you within your community, they will clap, they will share, and they will make space for you. So I feel again, if it's true infringement, address it legally and quickly. But beyond that, I mean, branding is not it's not your moat in your castle, right? Your experience, your outcomes, your branding, what you're doing is your moat. That's going to be what protects you. Patients will stay where they're confident, where they're cared for, and where they get results. And that person down the street that's copying you, take her out to lunch, rise above, right? Like maybe you have something to learn from her. It's funny, and I know it's a hot take, and a lot of people won't do it, but like try. Who's it going to hurt? Maybe she's doing something that you don't have. It's a machine that you don't want to drop $200,000 on, and you guys can, cross market against each other. But everyone needs more friends. Maybe not everyone, but community over competition every single day, and let people support each other. So I think rise above it. Don't worry about those people, and if you are worried about them, like try and make a new friend.
That's amazing. Thank you for the turnaround there, Michaela. And yeah, how amazing would it be instead of worrying about the competition, taking them out to lunch and then making a new friend, bettering the community, and just having an overall great time.
Yeah,
Um,
and there's enough money to go around. You should not be worried. you know I know it's a
there
tough
we go.
economy, so maybe not enough money to go around, but don't worry about it. If you build it right, they will come.
There we go. Focus on the important details. And one of the most important details, let's talk about that. Beyond the conversion rate, what are some of the other indicators that best predict durable patient loyalty and what result would convince you to change the course otherwise?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think those three visits is really important. So most people, again, will look at their consultation and that one rebooking or did the consultation to treatment, right? Everyone's consultation to treatment. They love that number, and everybody loves that number. But consultation to 2 treatments, consultation to 3 treatments, that is what you need to look at.
Mhm.
So it's definitely rebooking rate and your visits per year. Those are really, really important. But you really just need to find out those how many visits are coming in or what your average client visits per year is, because that number tells you so much, right? If people are coming in once and the majority of your clientele is coming in once or twice, then you are not that sticky as a business. So you
Mhm.
really need to get into that. You need to get people coming back often. And it's not just important for getting more money, it's really important for the patient to get to know you, your team. Where am I parking? Who's going to meet me at the front desk? Am I going to be offered water? Like they need to feel really comfortable. It's like when you go to the gym, the first couple times you don't know where you're going or where stuff is. And then that 15th time, like, John's at the front desk, where the showers are, where your towels are. And that's really the environment that you want to create. You want to create a very comfortable space. And you're not going to get that if someone comes into you once a year, right? No one will. If you went to your grocery store once a year, would you know where to find all the stuff? No, you would not. So I would really
Mhm.
change course quickly if I saw a really strong conversion into that first visit, but a really weak return behavior. That's a short term win, masking a very, very long term problem. So those are really the first things that I would dig into.
Okay. Um, and how can we ensure, I mean, I know we talked about this a little bit before, but how can we ensure that the first visit translates into 3 bookings down the road? Are we booking them r- from the first consultation itself, or is that more of a follow-up stage?
Yeah, you definitely need some sort of call to action when you're doing your consultation. So what is the first thing? You can give someone 12 months, but we're not booking 12 months of appointments today. That's
Mhm.
overwhelming. It's scary. People will start going into this buyer's remorse or fear of like, oh God, what did I just do? So start with one thing, that it builds so much trust of like, I'm not trying to rush you. I am not trying to oversell you. I just want to book that one microneedling appointment for you. You will see such a difference. And so start with one thing and then start layering it in. If your initial consultation process is going to document all of those things that you talked about, then you don't need to worry about booking all 12 appointments. You will build that trust with someone over time. So I do always say build that very first appointment and then go from there. And then again, one thing I always see people miss, and my injector did it with me recently, where she had me come in for a 2 week follow up, and I'm like, really wish you booked me for a microneedling and a 2 week follow up because I want to see my pictures. Of course, I want to know if my tox is working and everything's settled right. But
Mhm.
it's a missed opportunity. I don't want to drive 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back, spend 15 minutes. Like, let's do something, right? Get me results. So I think always leading from that place of like, I'm here to get you results. I have your best interest at heart. I want to get you the results that you're asking for. And I know what each next step is. There's going to be some clients that are like, give me the world, take my wallet, I trust you, and those are people that you're going to have a very different approach. But the majority of people want to take it slow. They're scared, financially strapped. I mean, these treatments are expensive. Let's be honest. we all want to make more money, but we know that they are expensive to afford for the majority of people. So don't necessarily like shop with your own wallet, but again, come from that place of understanding that this person's a little concerned, they're a little hesitant. Document that in their notes. And each time they come in, you're just going to go one thing at a time. And then eventually, and I promise you this will happen, is that those clients will start to say, well, what about my next 2 appointments? And what about a package of 3? So they might start even to sell their self, which is really, really fun to see. And that's exactly when a light bulb should go off in your head of like, oh, I am doing the right thing. I have my consultations nailed down. I've been taking it a step at a time with this person, and I finally earned their trust. And that is such a good feeling to have for so many providers.
Amazing. Now, I was just wondering, are there any other low-hanging fruits like the pictures in your experience that should be bundled up uh, in any kind of booking or appointment?
I definitely think memberships are low hanging fruit. I will say, it's probably not considered low hanging fruit. I think a lot of people struggle with
Mhm.
memberships and membership conversion. But if you can make your memberships a no brainer and like girl math it for people, that is such low hanging fruit. I will tell you, the last practice I worked at, the day I put in my 2 weeks notice, I signed up for a membership because it made so much sense. I knew it was going to save me money. I knew I would get to keep my favorite injector like in my pocket. The discounts were incredible. I knew that that was going to be the lowest price. I knew that I had trusted service, knew where to park. Like I think memberships are really the best thing to do, and it gives a practice peace of mind. If someone can close for 2 weeks, take their staff on a retreat, and you have X amount of dollars in recurring revenue just from your memberships, that is peace of mind, right? It's great. And there's nothing more exciting when someone comes in and we say, your bill is $2,000, you have $500 banked up, and with your membership discount, and it goes from $1,000 down to $200. People are like, oh my God, I saved so much money, which like they paid for it, of course. But that to me is really low hanging fruit that people overthink all the time. They complicate it. They really, really struggle with it. And it's just so simple. Just make it appealing, give people discounts. Like, do you remember back when phone companies used to reward you for loyalty? No one does that anymore. Everyone gives the discounts to the new people, but you should really, really be loving on and honoring the people that have committed to you and your business. So I think throw in extra discounts, hold membership exclusive parties. When people call in, oh, are you a member with us? And not, have you been here before? Are you a member with us? And start planting those seeds. Really get a good process. But memberships is really the number one that I think people overthink and neglect because they think everyone's got a membership, and yeah, but pretty much. But there's a reason everyone's got a membership because it's great and you should do it.
Absolutely. And understatement of the year, really, we're always trying to get these new patients booked in, but really having your loyal patients who already have your trust, rewarding them for that, and nurturing that relationship a lot more will definitely reduce your customer acquisition costs as well as keep a wonderful, wonderful experience going on for many more years to come.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Customer acquisition cost is 7 times more expensive than you're returning. So focus on those people that have already been in and nurture those. Yeah.
absolutely. Now, looking ahead to the next 12 months, what proof would show a consultation system is sustainable and not just temporarily effective?
Yeah. I think consistency across multiple providers is really, really important. Everyone will have their own flair to it, but having that consistency, making sure the notes are the same, I think is really important. I also think internal referrals is something that really shows that your business is doing something right. If you
Mhm.
hear, like, I was recommended to you by this person, but she said it doesn't matter who I see, your front desk or receptionist team should call your manager immediately. Like that should be gold star, plaster that on the wall. That is exactly what you want to hear every single time is that someone told me to come there and it didn't matter who I saw. So I think another thing too is like when you're looking at that consistency across multiple providers, if you have one top injector that performs well and everyone else is struggling, you do not have a system. You have a great person.
Yeah.
You do not have a system. So I think a sustainable consultation model that shows up in stable conversion, strong rebooking, predictable revenue across the team, that's when you know that you have something scalable and it's just not working in like little pockets. So consistency across multiple providers. Don't let one person take the cake and everybody else struggle. Find a way to systematize it and get that consistency.
Now, Michaela, I just wanted to kind of go back to the previous question here and actually ask you about the specific metrics that practice managers should be tracking on their weekly dashboard. Now, I know 3 bookings per consultation over a year. That's a bit of an annual check-in. What about the weekly dashboard to measure loyalty?
Yeah, weekly, I love average ticket or AOV, however you're looking at it. I think that in general shows really like micro trends of what's going on. Do we have a lot of people this week that were budget conscious. I think also weekly, you start to notice when packages are redeemed, right? Because probably see this around Black Friday and holidays and Mother's Day and everything where people purchase packages. But then January, you get this slowdown where everyone's redeeming packages, but that should have a very low AOV. So, what is that going to tell you, right? People are redeeming packages, but no one is upselling them. So, that for me is really the most important. I also really like just general rebooking and utilization. What's going on in the business? Is it slow? Is it spring break? So I think on a weekly level, those are really the main things that I look at is the average ticket, the rebooking rate, and just general utilization. I could look at those three numbers from a practice I've never been in before and probably be able to tell you what's going on in the business. And most great managers really should be able to, depending, but but those are really my favorite. There's a lot we can dig into on quarterly and annual basis, but that's a really great question though, because a lot of people do like to zoom out, but when you zoom in, it gives you some really fun data.
Absolutely. Now, we're arriving at the top of the hour here. Um, and as we land the plane, I want to ask for one final key takeaway. If our attendees change just one thing about their consultation journey tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., what should it be?
Oh, oh my God, there's so many things. I have to pick one. Okay. Um, I think credentialing yourself. I think it's so important when you are meeting someone, right? Like your new patients, clients, whatever you call them. They're scared, they're nervous, maybe they haven't done this a lot before or haven't had any injectables before. You can instantly put someone at ease just by sharing who you are. They need to know who they're talking to. And it's really important. I think that is something that's not talked about enough. We can talk about systematizing and getting, a full treatment plan and adding your soap notes. I think all of those are like very much no-brainers. But I think credentialing yourself is really something that no one ever talks about. Getting a really good elevator pitch and being able to say, like, here's who I am, how long I've been in the industry. I love full facial balancing, or I love threads, or I love laser, whatever it is about you that makes you different from the spa, different from the spa down the street. All of that is just so important. And it instantly puts people at ease. So that would be my opinion.
Amazing. Now, yeah, thank you so much, Michaela, for that. And we've talked about building trust, creating seamless handoffs, and of course, stopping the leaks in your revenue. Now, remember that, here we go. The journey starts before they even walk through the door. So, if you want to ensure your clinic is the one that is showing up when patients are searching for the services you offer, please take advantage of Echo Marketing's $900 marketing strategy meeting. The QR code is on your screen, as well as the link is in the chat one last time for you to book that session before it fills up. With that being said, to everyone, attending, as we close out, a survey will pop up on your screen. Please take 30 seconds to fill it out because your feedback really dictates the experts we bring out next, as well as helps us create even better events for you. Uh, Michaela, absolutely incredible conversation here tonight. Really appreciate your time and expertise. Um, to attendees, thank you so much for investing in an hour of your practice's success. With that being said, I'm Don Adisha. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you at the next Business of Aesthetics event. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Amazing. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Michaela. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. With us is done valuably.